my goodness. Good morning. And thank you, RJ Calabro, for being here to post the games that we are going to see tonight. Washington versus Ottawa. That is amazing, my friend. But more importantly is Pittsburgh versus Detroit, 7:30 Eastern on TV. Means I will not be able to see it because I cannot see any games. The NHL is completely screwed the entire broadcast, and they wonder why. And I would say the NHL did that by selling this package to ESPN. ESPN is a nightmare. This entire broadcast thing should just all be on YouTube. Who thinks every game should just be on YouTube and do a revenue split with YouTube? I think it'd be much better. In any case, good morning to you. Thank you for joining. RJ has got all the details. Yes, hit the likes. That's always helpful. And please don't forget to hit subscribe to Hockey Nation Live. Excited to be back and just to recap the night that saw the emergence of James Reimer, the greatest goalie in the history of the. Well, okay, let's not go crazy. Reimer for Vezina. Listen, Red Wings fans are not like Maple Leaf fans. We're not having parades for coming in second. I think we can say that safely, right? But it was a good game against Columbus Blue Jackets. I know there were some predictions it would be a 4-2 game. James Reimer was having none of that, as James Reimer does what James Reimer does. He can steal you games. He can also lose you games, and that's James Reimer. But he is an upgrade over Alex Nedeljkovic, so I'm glad to have him because the first two games by Husso, there's a lot of goals scored there. I don't know what was going on. We had the 6-4 game versus Tampa, and then the prior game was like a 4-game cold game against Pittsburgh. But there's a rematch tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not to get too ahead of ourselves, first star was Dylan Larkin, which I thought was interesting given that James Reimer got a shutout. Is there no respect for goalies? The guy got a shutout. That's automatic first star, isn't it? I mean, what did Dylan Larkin do? He just was being Dylan Larkin. James Reimer got a shutout. He only faced 23 shots, but the other team only faced 28 and let in 4. I think there's always been a goaltending problem in Columbus personally. Now, we did get to see some of their young players. Were you impressed? Did you see Fantilli? What did you think of him? I'm not the biggest fan, but I think he's just too big and talented not to eventually have success in the NHL. Andrew Kopp getting 3rd star, so that's interesting. He scored a goal as well. It was 1-0, and that was all they needed. And then a 3-goal second made it 4-0, and that's how she ended. So that was it. Pretty much the whole story. Shayne Gostisbehere, this is an interesting play if you watched it. Gostisbehere is actually playing pretty well, I have to say. I think this is a great pickup. I thought this would just be a power play pickup, but he made a smart play at his own end. It created an opportunity in transition right from the goal mouth, going the other way, and then he popped up and got the pass from Veleno, who made a really nice pass from the wing. He drove wide, saw the open lane, got it right on Ghost's stick, and Ghost made no doubt about it and fired it off. So Ghost, Maatta, and Sider and Wallman are a pretty good top 4 right now. Apparently the Detroit D are banged up, by the way. So, right now you're missing, I don't know if you're missing anybody, but of the 7 D, Shutout, Hall has been okay too. I don't mind Hall. I think he gets a bad rap in Toronto. And then, we had our friend Petrie. So I don't know if it's Petrie and Shutout that are banged up, but Shutout is a recipe for breakaways against your own goalie. It's kind of insane. Well, that was, anyways, good first period by Ghost. That was kind of all she wrote because James Reimer shut the door. The defensive play was real good for sure. Not to take anything away there. Michael Rasmussen getting his first of the season. I'm not sure if I love him on the wing, but, Comfer and Kopp so far have been pretty good down the middle. Rasmussen's a big body, obviously. He plays aggressive. He went to the net, and he managed to put the puck in there. He's got some good hands. This is a guy that can score 20 goals. Dylan Larkin, the captain, getting his first of the year from DeBrincat and Sider on the power play. The puck movement on the Detroit power play is very, very good. Very, very good. It's like reminiscent of old, not quite, it's not like the Russian 5, but it's pretty damn good. There's some weapons out there now. And then Andrew Kopp finishes it off with a second power play goal from Raymond and Wallman. It's interesting. Lucas Raymond looks really good to me. I mean, that's his first assist of the year. I think he got a goal in the other game. Can he get 70, 80 points this year? Luciano, how are you doing, sir? Thank you for joining. Really appreciate you jumping on. So that was kind of all she wrote. There was a fight in this game also. Huge win by Detroit. Well, any win is a huge win. I mean, I don't think Columbus is going to be that good, guys. I mean, let's just be honest. If I look at Columbus, they've got perpetual injury-prone Patrick Laine, who can also score 40 goals. They keep shuffling around. So now Fantilli's playing up on the left wing with Laine and Teixeira, but Fantilli wasn't able to play left wing in the World Juniors. How's he going to do that in the NHL? Apparently he can only play center. But, I think he hogs the puck a lot, and he's going to turn over the puck a lot because he tries to do everything himself. But he's like a Jack Eichel. He's just big and powerful. He's got lots of skill, and eventually that's going to translate. Johnny Gaudreau with Boone Jenner and Kirill Marchenko has been real hot up until the other night. Boone Jenner had a hat trick in the one game. Marchenko is a constant threat. I really like this player. And Johnny Gaudreau is obviously, a high-end talented player. Will Kent Johnson continue, to do what he did last year? Jack Roslovic seems to have been bumped down in this lineup. Teixeira is always an interesting case. You always want more from him. And Emil Babenstrom has already been bumped to the fourth line. So I got to think that that's just what it is. Best test against the Pens. The Pens is going to be a big deal. The Pens are a good team. Let's be honest. This is a good team. Malkin put on a show the other night. He said, hey, I hope the season ends and I win Hart Trophy. That's kind of like Reimer winning Vezina for a shutout. Well, the Brincats had a good start with 5 points, 3 goals. Comfort, 3 assists. That's pretty good. Riley Smith, I think, is a huge addition for Pittsburgh that's really underrated. Guy won a Stanley Cup last year. He's a speedster. He's got good hands. That's a dangerous player. And the most underrated, there's 2 guys in the NHL that get 0 credit for being star players. One of them is Mikko Rantanen in Colorado. This guy's already got 3 goals. 6'4", 6'5" winger. He's not like a physically punishing guy, but high skill, right? Ooh, this is bad news. That's really bad news, RJ, from Minnesota. He's a real good player, highly underrated. He got a contract for a reason. The other guy is Jake Gensel. Jake Gensel can score, guys, and he's really smart, and he's able to do that even when Crosby was out. Yeah, Rantanen and Gensel must be the 2 most underrated players in the NHL. I just think those are players that their teams probably never trade, and everybody would want, but then they might get less than they deserve too. It's kind of weird. Now Rantanen would get big. He would get something serious. So just looking ahead, Pens and Wings are both 2-1-0. The one loss for Detroit came against, I think, the Pens, right? First game of the season. So, they get a chance to kind of redeem themselves here. Penguins got lots of weapons, though. I mean, this is no joke. Will Husso get the start tonight? Or do you go back to Reimer, who got the shutout? I would go Reimer. I haven't even checked if they've announced the goalies. Let's see, starting goalies. They may not want to go back-to-back. Or do you go Alex Lyon, the third goalie? Alex Lyon played in the Stanley Cup final, guys. He's not a total bum. Let's just take a quick look here. So right now they're saying Jari versus Husso. So it's a rematch of game 1. And Jari's super, super important to the Pens' success, as we saw last year. He was hurt. They're in trouble. Look who's hurt after 1 game. I'm really disappointed. It's unfortunate. Robbie Fabry can just not stay healthy. They announced him in the second game in Civies, and you see he had really nice suit. Robbie's a sharp dresser. I remember when he was 14 and 15 and just, another smelly hockey kid. But, man, just to close out, the fight in Columbus, what did you think? Klim Kostin is scary, man. When I saw him throw a hit in the game, I was like, damn, he's big, he's got skill, and he'll fight. Game could go to overtime. Well, it could or not. It all depends. Husso, 2 games, 4 goals against a game. That's not good. And this is really frustrating to continue to see Ben Sherratt and Jeff Petrie not playing well. So I don't know who's banged up. I think Hall's played better than both of them. Ghost has played pretty well. I was really skeptical of him 5-on-5, but he's done okay. And maybe it's just that he's, if he's second or third pairing, then he gets better because he's not top line minutes. And maybe that's the solution. Olli Maatta has been very solid. Never should have been sat against Pittsburgh. That's his old team. Dress Olli Maatta. He played great last year. He's very solid. This is a steal at $3 million a year. Wallman's very good, and Seider's obviously looking really, really good. So to me, I don't know. I feel if you had Simon Edmondson right here and you put this guy Hall in there, you're much better off. I just think Sherratt and Petrie got to go at some point here. Forward line's been juggled a little bit. Lucas Raymond, DeBrincat, and Larkin. And that's the other matchup is Washington and Ottawa. So Forsberg versus Kumper, interesting. Kumper was out the other night. Like Charlie Lindgren started and there was no Kumper even as a backup. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know if they're giving him those nights off. So he just doesn't, because he's an older guy and I know he's got injuries and they're trying to manage that stuff. That's real. That's realistic. Rasmussen right now, second line left winger is interesting, but I don't think there's a second and third line here. The guy that looks great is Veleno. I think Joe Veleno is going to have an excellent year as long as he stays healthy. He played 82 games last year, and he made a beautiful pass to set up that goal to Ghost on the first goal. I mean, he's first in on pucks. He's making smart decisions. He's not throwing the puck away. These are all really good things. Daniel Sprong, was a little quiet the last game. Needs Daniel Sprong. Maybe that's why Daniel Sprong is kind of like Kubalik, where Kubalik would disappear for stretches. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And Austin Czarnik, the call-up, got a penalty for holding. It was kind of a weak penalty. I didn't think he held really. He's kind of had his hand, which I guess was automatic. AHL guy, here you go. Where's Jonathan Berger? We need Jonathan Berger up. We need Simon Edmondson up sooner than later. So projecting ahead, you've got to look at Pittsburgh's lineup. Big start for Malkin. 6 points his first 3 games. 6 points for Gensel. You've got Riley Smith's got 2 goals and an assist, +5. I think Riley Smith's going to be really, really underrated. And then, Brendan Rust is waiting to get on the board here. So he's got 3 points, but no goals. So look for him to do some damage. And then Sid the Kid, 3 goals and an assist. Oh, I'm sorry. Rust does have 3 goals. What am I talking about? He has no assists. Jeez. I thought he had scored. Yeah, because I saw the one game. Didn't he get 2 goals in the one game? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. So I don't know. There's a lot. If you look at that team, and the guy I really like is Noel Acciari. Like, I thought that was actually an inspired pickup by the former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's 2 guys that are out no longer on the Leafs that, man, I would have really tried to keep. One is Sam Lafferty, and Lafferty scored the other night. And then the other one is this guy, Acciari. They both play big and hard and aggressive on the puck, and they can contribute offensively. So Acciari on this team, Kyle Dubas bringing him to Pittsburgh is smart. And you still got Reichel. Like, there's a lot of weapons there. So arguably the defense, Chad Rudwheel, Ryan Graves, Peterson, Letang, and Carlson, and Pierre Joseph, super underrated defense. It's actually like, I was always questioning it, but when you look at that, that's a good group. So just looking ahead, it looks like we've got ourselves Husso versus Jari in a rematch. Thank you for joining this morning. Did you see the McDavid goal last night? When you watch it a couple of times, it was kind of interesting. I can't show it, obviously, but it was like he was going to enter the zone. He went to place the puck, did a spinorama, and when he came out the other side, the puck went around the team, showed up on his stick, and he went to the net and scored. They're like, is that goal of the year? I'm like, it's not going to be goal of the year, but it's still pretty amazing. It's weird because you're like, oh, it was an accident. But if you know what Connor McDavid's thing is placing pucks and retrieving them and using edges to get around players, and that's kind of prototype that style that he's pioneered, or led the charge on. Bedard's got very similar skills to that, right? Like same methodology. So I don't know. It was pretty cool. Marner doesn't look like himself. I mean, listen, it's early. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Doesn't he? But he's got points probably. He always has points, right? Like you've always got points on the board with Marner. But Austin Matthews doing okay. He's got 3 points in 3 games. He'll be fine. Didn't this happen last year? He still looks like he's 12, but he ain't 12 anymore. He's played 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. This is his 8th NHL season, guys. Mitch Marner is getting up there. Better do something here. This guy is like not a little kid anymore. If I look at the Leafs, yeah, Matthews, 6 goals, no assists. No goals last game. What'd you think of that? It's fine. Yeah, I don't know. So what? Is that what Sheldon Keefe did? He called out his star players. I mean, credit to Chicago. When you watch Chicago, they're not that bad. Like Kevin Korchinski and Wyatt Kaiser are 2 of the best young defensemen in the NHL. You've got Seth Jones. Arguably, many teams only have 3 legit defensemen, and they have 3 legit defensemen, albeit 2 of them are very young. But man, any team. Oh, and then you have this other guy, the other big defenseman, who's like 6'6". What's his name? And he looks good. What's this guy's name? Well, you got Connor Murphy on that D. You know, Lucas Reichel doesn't have a point, so that's a little weird. And he's a -3, but I think he's a good player. He's talented. Oh God, what is the guy? Vlasic. So Alex Vlasic, this guy's 6'6". He's from Wilmette, Illinois. So he's a Chicago guy, 22 years old. He's got 2 points in 4 games, but it's really the size and the consistency back there. Like, is that what Luke Richardson's working with? Like, is Luke Richardson building defensemen? Because that's some raw material there. So there's a pretty good top 4. And then, yeah, forget about Connor Murphy. That's a pretty good 5. And then Zaitsev was like their 7th D and came in for Tenorti after the suspension. And then Perry is leading the charge. He's annoying. Perry's annoying. I saw a debate today, and they're like, hey, Luke Perry is a Hall of Famer? And I'm like, oh my God, I hope not. Vlasic is a really interesting player. Like, so there's so many like parallels between this Chicago team and the team that they built way back before they won the cup and then ended up winning 2 cups or 3 cups. It's 3 cups, right? Which is, you know, Taves and Kane come in, but then the Duncan Keiths and the Brent Seabrooks and the Dustin Byfugliens, all these guys pop up. And that's kind of what's going on here. Like, you've got a lot of parallels. Like, I like Taylor Radish. Ryan Donato is playing with Bedard right now, so they got to figure that out. Tyler Johnson, I just think it's a matter of time before this guy gets injured. He's small, and he's constantly getting weird hits where it's like his body's out of position. He's getting hits on the knee. He's getting hits in areas that he's going to get banged up in. So there's something about him. He's just not conscious of being a small guy, and that's fine, but that's why he's always hurt. Athanasiou has been bumped up and down the lineup already. So I don't know how that's going to work. Taylor Hall, you've seen miss more than he scored. This is the story of Taylor Hall. Saw this in preseason. He gets a lot of opportunities. Corey Perry right now has 4 points. Taylor Hall has 1 and no goals, and he's playing with Bedard. And he missed a game because of injury, but I don't know. Taylor Hall is weird. That's a weird player for me. I always don't know what to make of him. He's got all the tools, but just never translates to what it should be. Like 27 goals for a guy that looks like he'd score 40 or 50. That's the reality. Like, he's got all the tools that, except that closing, that sense, you know, he misses a lot. And you're like, so close. That's the Taylor Hall sound. I don't know. It's unfortunate. But, you know, I think, are we going to see Carolina in the Stanley Cup final this year? I do not know. I don't know. You know, it could pop through at any time. Just depends on the goalies. They got maybe one of the top 2 or 3 defense cores in the NHL. And they got Sebastian Aho. Seth Jarvis is a really, really underrated player. It's a good question. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, 67 points last year for Aho was definitely off. But then, Necas looks real good. Teravainen, if he stays out, he's got 4 goals in 4 games. Brady Shea, again, popping through the points this year. Like, this is a guy that last year, had 18 goals. 18 goals for Carolina on defense. That's on a team with, Jacob Slavin, Brent Burns, Tony DeAngelo is there. Like, he's back. And then you've got Orlov. What's going on? Now, you're missing, what's the other D that you're missing? No, Pesci's in. Yeah, so I don't know. Necas is strong. Yeah, I love this Michael Bunting pickup. I mean, Michael Bunting was such an inexpensive player, and he's able to score 20 goals. And he plays with a little bit of jam. He had 49 points last year, 23 goals, 26 assists. What would that have been on Carolina last year? I mean, that's got to be a top, I don't know. They had 28 goals from Necas, 36, and then Svechnikov had 23. So that would have been their 3rd leading goal scorer, tied for Svechnikov, who obviously missed time. So I don't know. That's a really good pickup in my mind. Michael Bunting, it's another player that's just a glue player that you can put him on a top line. He's going to produce, and you can bump him down. So back-to-back 23-goal seasons and 103 penalty minutes, 80 penalty minutes. He's got some jam. I don't understand why they keep moving on from this guy. Like Arizona, he had 10 goals in 21 games. I don't think you think so, Klump? I don't know. I think there's nothing guaranteed in the East. I mean, they play a playoff. Here's the problem with Carolina. Carolina plays a playoff-style game every night. So what happens is they're playing these wide-open teams that have got offensive jam, right, all during the year, and they're on the top. But then they hit the playoffs, and there's no shift. Right? Whereas other teams suddenly start batting down the hatches. They play a tough playoff style. And it's like, oh, now we're all playing this style and you have more talent. And I think that's always been the issue with Carolina for me. But they're 3-1-0. Great start. 20 goals for, 17 against. That's not a great differential. Right? So they're grinding it out to win these games. They're close games. And I just think that's the difference. So who's the upside here? New Jersey's 1-1-1. You might be surprised at that, but they got more players in the AHL they can bring up. If they bring up Nemec, that'll help them, right? I don't think the Caps are in it. Rangers on paper look really, really strong. Penguins are better. Don't underestimate the Penguins. Islanders have got the best top 3 goalies in the world, and they got a very underrated defense, and they got weapons. Buffalo not off to a great start. Florida, we know, went to the final. Tampa finally dropping off. So, but then you got the emergence of Ottawa. Maybe Buffalo kicks it into gear, and Detroit's looking pretty good. Is Carolina better than all those teams? Yeah, maybe. Maybe they are. Maybe they get to the Eastern Conference final. That's a pretty, the odds are pretty good there. I gotta think you might be right. I have zero faith in Toronto. I think going head to head with most teams in the East, they're going to do well in the regular season and get to the playoffs, and that terrible defensive core is just going to be just gross. I think Ottawa's defensive core is better than Toronto by far. Boston, 2-0. 2-0. Marchand, Pasternak. Marchand, Pasternak. And then Charlie McAvoy. They got a lot of D over there. So Carolina is interesting. Definitely interesting. All right, guys, it's 3 minutes before the hour. I don't want to keep everybody. We'll keep an eye on games tonight. Check in with Coach Frenchie, I believe, is on at 9 p.m. Eastern. Is that right, RJ? Thank you so much for joining. Please hit the likes and subscribes. Tell your friends. Do you like the Detroit Red Wings update? Do you want other updates? I've gotten some messages on Twitter from people like, do you cover any other teams? And I can talk about any team. But, right now we're focused on Detroit, but maybe we do once a week where we kind of look around the NHL. You tell me what you want. Leave comments. Wings Pens tonight on TNT. Like, come on. At least I can see this on ESPN finally. But, I'm here in Nashville, and I can't watch last night Edmonton versus Nashville. Yes, it was a blowout, but I want to watch that game. I almost went to the game. I'm glad I didn't, and I couldn't watch it. When I'm in LA, I can't watch the LA Kings. When I'm in Orange County, I can't watch the Anaheim Ducks. Come on, NHL. All the game, this ESPN deal is junk. I go on ESPN, they're trying to get me to watch women's basketball, women's NCAA hockey before they show me NHL hockey. I have to. It's nuts. Come on. Nobody watches cable. These cable deals have got to go away. They're garbage. NHL should just tear up the ESPN deal, put it all on YouTube. Every game on YouTube. That's it. I used to be able to go to the NHL app and get any game. Now I can't get anything. All right. Well, we'll talk about that again in the future. Thank you so much for everyone for joining. I will see you again on Friday morning. We'll recap what happened in the Pens game and look ahead to the weekend. I think the Red Wings don't play again until Sunday after that, and I believe it's against Ottawa. So have a wonderful day and enjoy your day with hockey. Oh, boy. Bye.